So look, it's a teething problem, getting everything set up, everything ready to go forward. So yeah, I'm making this video because I feel I have quite a lot of information to share about different things which people may be of interest to to people, and firstly about Julian Assange, what is happening at the moment with Julian. It's quite interesting because there is quite a fair amount of evidence that Julian actually is trying to get some of targeted with some of the technique and technologies that are being used against targeted individuals or, if you wish, a victim of covert harassment. So that is quite interesting because there is a lot of conflict there, and you may think like if the whole thing blow up, I mean, we may find out actually may bring to some level of exposure to to certain technique and technology being used against against innocent people, against whistleblowers, against political activists. So yeah, so that's and then you need to feel for Julian because all the stuff is he has been through, and now they try, they bring up all the stuff that they made this protocol with basically recently the Ecuadorian government made this published this protocol whereby it's very humiliating for Julian. They're saying like if it's not look properly after his cat, if he doesn't look after the bathroom, if he doesn't start paying for his own medical care and food and stuff, we are going to throw him out. So it's but then obviously all these different like media, like including the Guardian, which media which in the past they actually been making a lot of money out of Julian and out of WikiLeaks, and making a lot of copy. Now they basically it's like an echo chamber, all this stuff about the cat and the bathroom and the fact that he's skateboarding inside the embassy, all this stuff. It's obviously it's all drip. So you take on all this stuff, and people listen to all this stuff, and then increasingly the ordinary people that relying on all this kind of garbage media, basically it's darkens gradually. It's darkened the image they have of Julian Assange. So by the time there's been 10 years of smears and innuendos and allegation and accusation and the Russia Gate, all this nonsense. I mean, so so basically it's the public image of Julian is like increasingly people have been taking in all this fake information and smears and deliberate character assassination stuff for now up to 10 years. So obviously if they take all this stuff on uncritically, then the perception, the image they have of Julian is gradually over time is become very negative. That's why a lot of people now, nowadays they completely washing their hand and what the pretty horrible, horrific way in which is being treated by Ecuador, but mainly by this country, by the United States. I mean, Ecuador, it's just an impoverished country. It's quite surprising that they managed for so long to stand up to the United States. So yeah, there is a lot of information. If people are interested about Julian Assange, there is a lot of information about what is going on. Including the fact that just after I think it was 7 months ago when they completely start keeping Julian completely incommunicado. I mean, incommunicado. I mean, he's not for 7 months. He's not been able to access the internet. He's not being able to make or receive telephone calls. has not been able to receive any visitors. Apart from his legal team and his mother, which is probably, she's in Australia, so she's not just like able to pop in, every day or every other day or something. So technically, his mother is his legal team. But then, apparently, even when it comes to his legal team, they've been really funny about the meeting. So they've been postponing and delaying. When they ask for permission to visit Julian, they've been quite funny. They're postponing, they're kind of stalling, they're obstructing and stuff. So even access to the legal team. So yeah, but it's quite interesting that it is just shortly after they start keeping Julian incommunicado. Then Ecuador was finally granted a $500 million, $500 million loan by Goldman Sachs, and $500 million loan by a Inter-Latin American bank, which is giving loan to different Latin American countries. So this loan, which had been previously withheld or refused, as soon as Ecuador started keeping this very oppressive regime and keeping Julian incommunicado, the loan was immediately granted. So they're supposed to they get $1 billion for starting to keep Julian completely incommunicado. Mind you, these kind of loans are just like the kiss of death. The Goldman Sachs, or if it's the IMF or Goldman Sachs, or the kiss of death. It's like when you're desperate for some money, then you go to a loan shark, and then after that your life starts to completely unravel. You see what they've been doing to Greece, which is more or less a failed country at the moment. So we see what Goldman Sachs has been doing to Greece. So, but anyway, they get the money. They got the money after keeping Julian incommunicado. They got the money at $1 billion loan. So yeah, that's the context. And the thing is that there's been an pressure on Ecuador. There's been a pressure on Ecuador from all sides, basically, mainly from the United States and this country, but also, on a different from the different side, from the UN, from different human rights organizations. So what happened is, after 7 months of keeping Julian incommunicado, the United Nations rapporteur for human rights, which name I can possibly remember, went to visit Ecuador President Lenin Moreno, and expressed his concern about what is being done to Julia, which is pretty horrific. And after that, the Ecuadorian government said that they were going to restore some of Julian communication and internet and telephone calls and things. So they say that it's all the same old story. Like, they say something very publicly, it has become the story, and then what they're actually doing in practice, is something completely different. But people read the news. Oh, Julian Assange now is able to go on the internet, make telephone calls and stuff. What the people, and then what's happening in reality is probably quite somewhat different. Theresa May say, "Oh, we are going to end austerity," but are they going to end austerity? But so what happened in actual fact? What happened? They say, "Oh, we're going." It was quite a few weeks ago. And they say we're going to, reconnect Julian, and he's going to be able to visit. But then they put together this protocol, which I think is 14 pages long, 14. And with a lot of restrictions, unbelievable restrictions. So if anyone wanting to visit Julian need to well before it's quite well in advance. They need to notify the embassy, and no one is allowed to take inside any digital device. So people need to leave all uh, mobile phone or laptop or whatever they have in the way of digital devices with the security at the embassy. And also, there's a lot of strange thing protocols, and they say people need to provide if they want to see. Everyone wanted to visit Julian. Need to provide all kind of information, even information about his presence on social network, TEMEI number of his telephone. So so it's really oppressive kind of the group of rules and regulation, which is totally oppressive, irrational, and basically quite unpractical. So they say, okay, they get the visit from the United Nations Rapporteur for Human Rights. The President, Lenin Moreno, got this visit after he said, oh, we are going to lift some of the restrictions. But then they start making all these derogatory comment about Julian need to look after his cat, and Julian need to clean the bathroom. So it's part of the character assassination, obviously. So, but then people in the know, they're saying that actually that was quite a few weeks ago that this statement was made. But people in the know say that actually they've been dragging their feet, that there is hardly any substantial change in the way they're keeping, dragging their feet, postponing. So, for all intents and purposes, is the Julian ability to communicate with the outside world is still severely restricted. So that's another bit of morsel of information about Julian Assange. Then there was the break-in, on Monday, which was, I don't remember, possibly the 29th of October or something like that. Yeah, or the 30th of October. Anyway, on Monday in the morning, Julian was supposed to have a video link with his lawyer in Ecuador, which are suing the Ecuadorian government for this protocol, this restriction that they say they violate his human rights. So in the morning of Monday, the Julian was supposed to communicate with the video link with the in the morning with the judge, with these the take part in this proceedings via video link. What happened around about 4 o'clock in the morning, apparently, there was an attempted break-in the embassy. Julian, which had been kind of booby-trapped a bit, some of the window staff, became aware that someone was trying to break into the embassy, which I think actually what's happening is during the weekend there is very little, there is hardly, apart from security, or there is hardly anyone in the embassy apart from maybe 1 or 2 security people and Julian. So that's at weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So that was at the end of the Sunday, the early morning of the Monday. And there was probably hardly anyone in the embassy, maybe 1 security person or something like that. So Julian became aware that someone was trying to break into about 4 o'clock in the morning into the embassy. So I don't know exactly what happened after, but I expect that probably Julian chased him away, of whoever this person was, or several people, I don't know. And then the next day, something quite strange happened, because they started erecting all these scaffolding just after the thing happened, scaffolding also outside of the Ecuadorian embassy, also in a way that blocked the security camera inside the embassy from being able to see what happened on the outside. And it seemed to be a number of gadgets or devices on the scaffolding that actually pointing toward the embassy. So, from the embassy, you can really use your camera to see what's happening outside because of the scaffolding. Whilst on the scaffolding, there's embedded any number of devices, which seem spying devices like a microphone and camera and stuff. So, pointing toward the embassy. And people argue that these couldn't have been done without the consent of the Ecuadorian authorities. So in the morning, actually, then another thing which happened. Then Julian is the video link with his lawyers, but the thing is that the video link was constantly being interrupted, and so he was not really able to participate in the proceedings because there was the abysmal quality of the video link, which shit happened, like they say, excuse my French, but who knows what's going on there. But and then actually the judge dismissed this claim that this protocol, these new restrictions were actually violating Julian human rights. So that was dismissed out of hand. And now I think his lawyers, which include his Spanish, very well known former public prosecutor Baldassar Garzón, is representing Julian. They actually appealing. So they claim that Julian human rights were being violated has been dismissed. But Baldassar Garzón, which is a very famous former public prosecutor, he was the guy who was in Spain, which actually did prosecute Augusto Pinochet, the former and late Chilean dictator. So that's what Baldassar Garzón is appealing against this decision by the court. And so this is the state of play with regard to this claim about Julian violation of human rights. And so, then on Saturday night there was, I don't know if people are aware that this kind of video link marathon going on. It's like a video conference marathon every day. It's called Union for Julian. It's like a lot of whistleblowers and whistleblower activists, the video, having this video conference every day, stating Julian case and stating the need to defend Julian human rights and talking about his situation, his declining physical health and etc. etc. So another bit of news is that on the latest one that was on Saturday. There were people taking part. Some of the people taking part. It was like Susie Dawson, who is actually the one organizing the whole thing. I think also Kim.com, together with Susie Dawson. Interestingly enough, in the past in Australia, when he was younger, Julian did some work for Kim. So obviously they know each other, and Kim also been supportive of Julian, and etc. etc. So the initiative has been launched, but to raise awareness, because it seems that no one is paying any attention anymore about what's happening to Julian Assange. To raise as much awareness as possible, and so the whole thing is this daily video conferences, which is called Union for Julian. Are being the idea was that the Kim.coms and Susie Dawson, she's the president of the New Zealand Internet Party, which is some sort of pirate party of sort, or so they launched this initiative, and on Saturday there was Christina Assange, Julian's mother, taking part, and she was quite distressed by the latest news and Tebrakin and all the rest of it. And then Ray McGowan was on the conference, and John Kiriakou, and there was a little link with a couple of ladies which were outside the embassy, also having a look around, scouting a bit, and then these same ladies were there today when I was there taking videos and talking to people and stuff. So yeah, the interesting thing is they decided to launch some new initiative, which is as follows. They decided that they're encouraging people obviously a lot of these people, they're not in London. So Susie, I don't know where she is now, she's probably in New Zealand. Ray McGowan and John Kiriakou, they're probably in the United States. Julian Mother is still in Australia. So, but they're encouraging people every Saturday to go in front of Harrods, which is just a very short distance from the embassy, to basically make a lot of noise with pots and pans, and to make people aware that the Julian life is in danger. So that's what they would like people to do. So I just so I don't know if the thing is, to be quite honest, realistic. I don't know if this thing is going to have a lot of traction. So the people are being encouraged to do this. I don't know how many people are prepared or willing to do that. Obviously, they meant really well. They really, I think all these people are really genuine feeling for Julian, very genuine concern for Julian, particularly his mother, Christine. But I wish them the very best of luck about their Saturday visual outside Harrods, because they say usually there is not that many people in front of the embassy, but if you go a few meters, walk on for a little while, you get to Harrods. That's quite a crowd of people all the time. So to get people attention, banging pots and pans, and making people aware that Julian life is in danger. That will stay there. I don't know if this is terribly viable or what is going to happen. I don't know. I wish them the very, very, very best of luck. So what is this the idea they've been launching? But because most of these people are not even in London, so so I don't know. I wish there were hundreds of people there banging pots and pans, but I become quite used to tell when people launch initiatives if they're going to be successful, or if they're going to be well attended, or maybe they're going to fizzle out. And I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going to happen with that. So that's some of the information about Julian. Another interesting bit of information is that obviously you can really blame the Ecuadorian government for what is going on at the moment, because it's very small and impoverished country in Latin America, and in the past we're little more than in years gone by, they were a little more than some kind of glorified American colony. So it's quite amazing that they, in a way, managed to hold up against the United States for as this long. Basically, it's been almost 7 years. So for a small impoverished country which used to be completely dependent on the United States in the past, is quite amazing what they have been achieving. Whilst all the country, like European country, France, Germany, most countries, they completely been washing their hands of the whole thing. So it's quite amazing in a way. If you look at the thing in perspective, in context, is quite amazing. It's an amazing achievement what they have done to stand up to the United States for so long, considering what his position vis-a-vis of the United States is. So it's quite amazing. It's quite very commendable. But at the same time, there is something also very specific going on with the new government in Ecuador. That is quite a different story, because The asylum was granted by Emmanuel Correa, the former Ecuadorian president. Was quite. He was quite, you may say, almost a friend of Julian Assange. That had been doing interview together, and that there was a very good chemistry. At the time when Emmanuel Correa, who at the moment lives in Belgium, was the president, the current president, Lenin Moreno, was the vice president. So, when Correa was no longer able to stand because there was a restriction on the number of years and terms the president can serve in Ecuador. So, he was his vice president, Lenin Moreno, did stand and did win. Became the next president. But the thing is, so you may think that they belong to the same party. They were in government together previously, so you would think that there's some kind of continuity. But the reality is somewhat different, because Lenin Moreno, as soon as he became president, he started to switch very much to the right, and getting, closing up to the United States, getting closer and closer to the United States, to the point that quite a member of his party, quite a member of his government even, his ministers, turned against him, because he was supposed to be like, his party was to be a party of the people. It was a populist party. When a lot of the member of his party, even member of his government and ministers, they saw what direction it was taking the country, also with austerity, with reversing a lot of the social policies of Emmanuel Correa, introducing austerities, increasing poverty in the country. So a lot of his own, just to know who Lenin Moreno is, which is in terms of the way he's treating Assange, who he is. So a lot of people in his party, the former president and associate Emmanuel Correa, and a lot of members of his party, a lot of members of his government, even a minister in his government, they start to turn against him and criticize him and resign. If ministers started to resign, and what he started to do, Lenin Moreno, is starting to, together with the judiciary, with corrupt section of the government, he's starting to all these people, starting with his former associate Emmanuel Correa, they started to make up charge of corruption. So, like the minister resign, they criticize the government. Next thing is getting accused of corruption. Emmanuel Correa, the former president, had to flee to Belgium because they were trying to set him up for some bogus charge of corruption. So that is this is Lenin Moreno, current president of Ecuador, if you want to have some idea of the context. So he was elected as president for representing a populist party. But as soon as he became elected, as soon as he became president, he started to cozy up to the United States. He started to reverse all the social policy of his predecessor, Emmanuel Correa. He started to a very drastic policy of austerity, hugely increasing poverty in the country. And then when member of his own party or member of his own government resign or criticize him, next thing they knew, they found themselves accused of embezzlement, accused of corruption, or on trump-up charges. The former president and associate, Emmanuel Correa, did even had to flee the country because he was being targeted with this bogus allegation of corruption. So this is the way Lenin Moreno, the current president of Ecuador, is treating his own people, member of his own party, member of his own government, and even his predecessor and former associate Emmanuel Correa. So you can imagine how many qualms this person as in victimizing Julian Assange, give you some idea what kind of person he is. Yeah, so that's a bit. And then another thing to understand what is going on at the moment is the fact that when it became known to the Ecuadorian authorities that Julian legal team was going to sue the Ecuadorian government for violation of Julian human rights, what happened? There was a statement at the time because a lot of people they see all this thing happening around the Ecuadorian embassy, they cannot understand what is going on because there is a lot of contradictory statement, contradictory events and facts and things. But it's the people seem not to. It was quite interesting what happened after the Ecuadorian government was made aware that Julian legal team was going to sue for violation of human rights, because then it was immediately there was a statement made by the Ecuadorian government, or you may say by Lenin Moreno, saying that at this point we think that they were being sued by Julian team. They were withdrawing. They made this very strange statement, very ambiguous, very unclear statement. They say at this point they were withdrawing protection from Julian, protection for Julian from the British government. So what they say, we are no longer going to protect Julian vis-a-vis of the British government. That's a statement that they made at the time, a few weeks ago. It is a very strange statement because, in a way, they say, "Oh, we are no longer going to protect Julian vis-a-vis the British government," but at the same time we are saying, "Oh yes, we still granting him right of asylum." So that's a very ambiguous, strange statement they made. So that's what that may mean is that there's maybe a raid being played in the embassy by British police, and having made this previous statement like we are no longer going to protect Julian from the British government. What that means that they, if there were to be a raid by the British police, for instance, they would take a very passive role in the whole business. So that's what. So that the people puzzling over what is really going on. There seems to be a lot of contradiction in what is going on. And I think a key to understand what is going on at the moment is the fact that this little statement made by the Ecuadorian government shortly after they realized that Julian legal team was going to sue them. And they say, okay, we are no longer going to protect. That's more or less what they say, quite literally. They say we are no longer going to protect Julian from the British government, but at the same time they were saying, oh yes, we're still granting Julian asylum, which is a bit of a contradiction there. So it's a bit of ambiguity there. And then people visiting Julian recently, they noticed the strange thing happening, like a very lax security about around the embassy. So some guy from American guy from. I think a guy called Sean O'Brien, actually, just in the last week, he was trying to visit Julian, and he noticed that he was there at the embassy. He noticed that the front door of the building downstairs was so just after they build up all this strange scaffolding, which is not clear what is it for, because it doesn't appear. Don't think there is any work being carried out there. So just shortly after they build up all this, first there was the break-in, Monday morning at 4 o'clock. Then the following day, they started building up all this scaffolding around the embassy, which was with all this microphone and camera embedded, pointing toward the embassy, not on the outside. And then this guy, Sean O'Brien from the US, American guy, he was visiting, tried to speak with Julian, and he noticed that he came down there There was no security around, there was no one around, the door of the building was completely wide open, and when you get inside in the hall, on the ground floor, you get on the left you get the door to the Ecuadorian embassy, on the right you get the door to the Colombian embassy on the same floor. Usually this little hall, the little entrance is usually full of security people. Then it came in through the completely wide open door. I thought that there was no one there in terms of security. So, you know, it may be that, you know, I don't know, I'm not psychic, but it may be that the Ecuadorian government, in agreement, having made some deal with the British government, paving the way to possibly a police raid to arrest Julian, and as they said before that they said before that you know, they made a statement: we are no longer going to protect Julian from the British authorities, which it sounded a bit strange, because at the same time they were saying, yes, the right of asylum is still ongoing, so it's still there, but we're no longer going to protect Julian from the British authority. So it would appear that maybe having made the deal with the British government, they're paving the way, making all these allegations against Julian. He's not looking after the cat, he's not looking after the bathroom, he's skateboarding in the building and damaging the floor, all this stuff. He's not paying for his food. Making all, they prepare the situation, the scene, for maybe a raid by British police, and then if that were to happen, as they say, we are no longer going to protect Julian from the British government. A raid by British police that may have been already agreed with the British government, because the president Lenin Moreno was in London maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. So, and then if the raid were to occur, I think in this instance the Ecuadorian government is going to play a very passive role. So, yeah, that's is a possible scenario, which something we may see pretty soon happening around Julian, because that's what all the different conflicting information seem to be pointing towards. So yeah, there is plenty of evidence that plenty of evidence that Julian Assange is himself a victim of organized stalking and electronic harassment. There's there's anecdotal stories about the British police at night when his room was still facing the street. The anecdotal evidence that the British police at night was throwing little stone against the window to keep him awake. Or we know that just the night in 2012, the night before, there was going to be an announcement by the Ecuadorian government as to whether they were going to grant Julian asylum. Is a well-known fact that all night long the British police was running up and down the fire stairs outside the Julian window all night, up and down, doing drills all night. And my guess is that that was a message to the Ecuadorian government, like the message was: if you are going to grant asylum, we are going to publicly humiliate you. We are going to raid the embassy, take Julian away, and we are going to he will be subjected to public humiliation. So that was the message to the Ecuadorian government. Nevertheless, the Ecuadorian government decided to grant asylum. So actually, the foreign minister, Ricardo Patino, at the time, Ecuadorian foreign minister Ricardo Patino came to London just to break the news that the Ecuador came to visit Julian at the embassy, just to break the news that the Ecuador had decided to grant asylum. And I was there on the day. I was outside. There was a lot of people. And there was, at this point, there was Julian and Ricardo Patino came to the window together and stuff, and people were taking pictures and stuff. So Yeah. So there is evidence that Julian Assange uh, he may be a victim of, instances of gang stalking. And then there may be also evidence that Julian Assange may be a victim of electronic harassment. Uh, well, if you think about the situation in a way, I mean, it is, you know, testing this technology, I mean, on targeting individual, you know, they're not just doing it for a laugh. I mean, they're doing to develop technology that eventually they may be able to use against people like Julian Assange. So, I've been there 6 years, completely, you know, boxed in this small embassy. I would be surprised if they not be succumb to the temptation of attacking with electronic harassment. Right? I think that I'd be surprised if they were not attacking with electronic harassment. But then there is, and then what happened. Another thing which happened is, so I've been supporting Julian for a very long time, even before he took refuge in the embassy. I remember, I think he took refuge in the embassy possibly in 2012. Even before, in the couple of years before that, I remember being outside when he was conducting his legal battle to fight extradition and to fight extradition to Sweden. I remember being outside with his supporter outside the Westminster Magistrate Court, which is fairly close to the House of Parliament, a number of times. So even then, even before he took refuge in the embassy, I was really supporting Julian and going there, talking with his other supporters and things, leafleting, talking to people about targeting, etc., etc. So yeah, and then what happened last year is between August and the beginning of October. I organized this visual outside the embassy, which I know that was long before Julian got all his communication cut off, and that was quite a different situation. I was still able to communicate. I visited all the time, so it was quite a different situation. And so I decided I organized these three videos, which are not visual involving his other supporters. It was visual purely by target individual. So we were there 3 times. That was between like mid-August, end of August, and beginning of October. At the first time there was like 4 or 5 fast target individuals. Same thing for the second time. On the third occasion, I remember I was like being fried with direct energy microwave weapon all night. It was really heavy. I managed to drag myself there in time. I was there on my own. There was no one. Which I think it was not by accident. But but basically we were there three times for a few hours, and I was there with the megaphone, and I was because. Julian's room is very close to the street. Is very very close to the street. So if you go there with a megaphone, he is going to hear what you're going to say. So we were there with a megaphone. We said, Julian, please help us expose organized stalking and electronic harassment. And Julian, please Google organized stalking and electronic harassment. And Julian, you may be a victim of electronic harassment too. It is so. We made videos. There's a lot of people that the video will watch a huge amount of time, and a lot of people normally wouldn't probably they were not probably so receptive to talk about targeting that because we managed somewhat to piggyback our issue on the Julian Assange issue. Which is a lot, I would say a lot bigger, or at least it's getting a lot more attention. So a lot of people which normally wouldn't respond or be interested in talking about targets seem to have, because we managed to piggyback the targeting issue on the Julian Assange issue somewhat. It was quite high profile. We were outside there, 4 or 5 people, a big megaphone and stuff. So they start to show some interest coming from certain quarters whereby you wouldn't expect any interest for targeting. So they seem to be quite successful anyway. So to raise the profile of targeting by somewhat kind of connecting it to the Julian Assange issue. It went very well. So we think we were quite happy about the whole situation, and I was happy about the attention this thing was getting. Julian, he was not showing himself because Julian, I think, is. He was coming out. It's been there 6 to 7 years. He was coming out on the balcony maybe the first couple of years. Then he completely stopped. As to why he completely stopped, it may be the different reason. Maybe all playing a part. Well, maybe because concern for your own safety, because they say, oh, okay, an actor out there shooting him or something. Oh, he's crazy. He's an actor like a bit like Oswald and Shiran, and all these people have been murdering stuff. When they murdered John Lennon and Robert Kennedy, John Kennedy, and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and the rest of them. So I mean, there's an actor with the guns. So concern for security concerns. There is some hint that actually there would have been a prohibition after the first couple of years. There was a prohibition passed by the Ecuadorian government as to whether Julian. So they said stop showing yourself at the window because possibly they were concerned about the relationship with the British government, etc. So there may be different reasons why he completely stopped. I mean, completely. You wouldn't even see him like peering out of the window or anything. It's just you can't see anything after the first couple of years. So I think maybe because of security concerns, maybe because it's been forbidden by the Ecuadorian authority to show himself or to speak to the people. So we don't know. But anyway, so if it's he stopped completely making any appearances at the balcony or at the window, or apart from there was once in last year when there was this the United Nations made this statement about Julian Assange right being violated, the British government behaving behaving in an illegal way after there was this United Nations declaration. And then I think he came to the window he made a speech for half an hour or something. But yeah, that was the only time in the last 3 or 4 years that he made any appearances. So we were outside there. He was not showing himself because he completely stopped doing that anyway for the best part of the last 4 or 5 years. And then, so I was quite happy how the thing was going, and we were getting a bit of attention from different quarters. And then, there was the third time. Actually, I was thinking of having a kind of more visual, or make it some kind of a monthly thing or something. But then I went there the third time. I went there the first time after being fried all night with direct energy microwave weapon. I managed to drag myself over there. And there was no one there, unlike the two previous occasions where there were 4 or 5 other TRs there. There was no one. And then I think by doing this thing with the megaphone, Julian, please help us expose organized stalking and electronic harassment. Please Google organized stalking and electronic harassment. You may be a victim of electronic harassment. I seriously upset some people because after that, a lot of things changed in my life in the activity of layers, London and stalking, my life. So I mean, after that, I think that was the time when people started to disappear. People were quite regular to have protests, to have visuals, to have meetings. All of a sudden, completely disappeared into thin air. You can reach them, you can speak to them, you can find them. So I think Layers, London and Stalking as an organization started coming under attack from all kinds of different quarters, kind of subtle way from all directions. So I mean, and so I think that was a bit the beginning of the end for London and Stalking. I still, I not give up on London and Stalking, but that was a bit the beginning of the end. And then after that there was no one on the last occasion. And then after that, I kept for maybe 2 or 3 months to keep organizing vigil outside Parliament, but Most of the time there was hardly anyone coming. So then, also because I was coming under increasing attack in my personal life, which it was nothing new because I've been targeted most of my life, but there was really a nasty escalation of things happening. So I kind of I started to do things in a slightly different way, and I started like doing things on my own because I seemed like uh, I not because it seemed more practical because like if you do things on your own, uh, if you organize a protest or say on a Wednesday, you make yourself like it's like putting I mean if there is support, if people are coming, but if no one is coming, if you organize the protest say on the Wednesday during Prime Minister question time, it's like being putting on a big like crosshair on your back like so in a way I like I kind of just start doing things on my own, like maybe I go down to central London, um, mm, maybe once, maybe twice every week, maybe 3 times even sometime. Sometime I'm in front. So I have my placard, I have my leaflet, I have my slogans, and sometimes I'm in front of BBC Broadcasting House, sometimes I'm in front of. Uh, Sometimes I'm in front of the House of Parliament, sometimes I'm in front of Downing Street, sometimes I even been, sometimes I'm in front of City Hall, down by the rivers, and sometimes I even try to have a couple of things outside the offices of the Labour Party. I mean, I support the Labour Party. I'm a Labour Party member. I'm a member of Momentum, but I think that to be honest, when it comes to targeting, I mean, is the kind of support you can hope to get from them is zilch. I mean, so anyway, I had it was a friendly video outside the Labour Party quarter in London, in Victoria Street. I was like, please, like people were coming in and out, please, I pass expose organized stalking and electronic harassment, please investigate. That's happened a couple of times. So. But yeah, no, I think in terms of because I at this point I felt with all the stuff going on, if I try to uh, organize events, carry on organizing event, it tries to involve people in being on the phone and then calling people, and no one was answering the phone and stuff. Organizing event on Facebook and things, and then no one was coming. I think it's, in a way there was. Even the danger that my activism was going to die completely if I carry on down that path. Organizing event, no one was coming. Organizing an event, no one was coming. And making myself a big target because when you have to be there at a specific time in a specific place, you make yourself. If you're a target individual, you make yourself a bit of a target. Extra targets. So I thought, so if I go on down this path, it's probably going to end today when I just going to give up completely. So just to keep the activism surviving, I had to kind of adapt and be flexible and try a different approach, which namely to do things on my own. But I mean, if people say like, I mean, if I'm out there, people want to join me, or if they call me on the phone and say I want to join you, I mean that's the most welcome. But it's up to them. I mean, I say when I make some video, I'm outside Parliament. I make some video. Say out of necessity, I'm here on my own. But if people watching this video, I mean, want to join me, they can contact me very easily. My telephone number is on under my About tab on my profile, and the people can contact me. I'm very flexible as to whether people may want to protest, as to the time. So if people want to contact me, I'm very flexible about the time. I'm very flexible about the location. So I mean, I do things on my own because I try to keep my to try to keep my activism to survive, basically. But if people want to join me, they're most welcome. I keep saying it. Usually, there's nothing to be very much in the way of takers or something, so I carry on doing things on my own. So yeah, so much for Julian Assange. I think the one thing is, I was saying, like, I think there is some evidence that Julian has been targeted with electronic harassment. What is the evidence? The evidence is that in his last video, I think it was like in March or April, before getting his communication cut by the Ecuadorian government, Julian made this video, which is a bit different, you may say, from his previous. It was an interview with Russia Today Rapidly. He was answering questions on a number of different issues. It lasted, I think, 1 hour. The last question was, they say in the last 5 minutes of the interview, the last question was is what he thought about the coming of the Internet of Things. Like, can it become, is going to be even more in the future, ever pervasive, this Internet of Things. You get your washing machine is connected to the Internet, and your fridge is connected to the Internet, and your security alarm is connected to the Internet, and you have this little thing like like Google. I can't remember the name of this little thing spying on you, everything you say in your home or something. So everything is supposed. So Julian was asked what he thought of the coming, or even already ever present, Internet of Things. Julian, at some point, he was talking about this and that. He said this thing, like, it was quite, from my point of view, oh my God, what's going on here? So he said at some point that he said something like, we are all surrounded, and I quote his word here, by evil intelligent dust. Evil intelligent dust, which is being activated by the that's what he said, by the GSM network, so he meant the mobile phone network. That is like basically evil intelligent dust, which is that's what he said. I posted a video, and I posted actually the last 5 minutes to make it even easier for people to listen to it. As quite a lot of people seem to have been having a look, and what have you not. Anyway, he said, like, it is evil intelligent dust. It's also interacting with the electromagnetic soup, which surround us from every side. That's what he said. So, oh my God, that sounds more like the work of the excellent work of Phelan, that Julian Assange, that anything he ever said before. So I was a bit startled, and then I started thinking, like, it is in a way. I mean, obviously, what he meant about these nanoparticles, that they're spraying all over the place. I mean, including chemtrails. I think that's what he was referring to. I don't think, in a way, to use the expression, is like. To use the expression like evil intelligent dust, I mean, it's probably giving him ammunition to his critics, actually. So I don't think he was terribly clever. Maybe he could have said nanoparticles. That would have been a bit more, kind of. But we know this thing happened. Yeah, there was a Guardian article about the people of Porton Down, which is supposed to be, used to be at least, I mean. The MOD, Ministry of Defense Laboratory for the research on biological warfare. So, as we know, it's been documented, including by a Guardian article, at the time when the Guardian was still, as a journalist of the Guardian, some self-respect, so a few years ago, was documented by the Guardian that the people are putting down since 1940, during the World War II, at least to 1979, because they always say, oh yeah, like in MK Ultra in 1974, say, oh no, no, now we have stopped. So there's always some kind of, let's say, since the 1940s, since 1979, apparently, right, the people at Portland have been spraying with total abandonment viruses and bacteria, heavy metal all over this country, including London Underground, to study the long-term effect of all this stuff on the general population. It is documented. There was even a Guardian article about it. So we know they're spraying stuff, all over the place. And it's quite interesting what happened with the chemtrails, because for many years, if you were talking about chemtrails, they were saying like, "Oh, you are crazy. You are crazy. You are conspiracy theorists. You are totally crazy." And then a couple of years ago, all these government scientists, they start, changing a bit of tune, and they start to say like, "Oh yeah, of course we are doing it," and but there's nothing sinister about it. We are just doing it to counter climate change, including spreading of this little aluminium microparticle in the atmosphere. We're supposed to deflect the the eating up of the atmosphere, or there's different opinion about the stuff anyway, but that's what they're starting to say on both sides of the Atlantic just a couple of years ago. So now they say, oh yeah, we are doing it. And we have a picture of this plane with all these big tanks full of God knows what, and so I mean, we know. So we know they're spraying stuff. There's one of the person which tried to put together all these different threads and make some sense out of them was this excellent Ilana Freeland from the United States, which first he wrote this book which is called let me think, Chemtrails. I think chemtrails, and I don't remember. It's something very similar to what I can't remember. Chemtrails, and the doctrine of full spectrum dominance. And it's probably one of the few people which, try to connect some of the dots in terms of all the stuff they're spraying all over the planet. How this stuff, I think, at least to a degree, is meant to interact with all these, all the electromagnetic soup they're creating all around us, and the fact that this is this geoengineering, weaponizing the weather, weaponizing space. So, it is all converge on the doctrine of full spectrum dominance, controlling the weather, controlling space, controlling the weather, controlling the environment, controlling the ionosphere, etc., etc. So, and then quite interesting because there's this last book, Elana Freeland's last book, is called Under the Ionized Sky. Full, I can't remember fully about this. Under ionized sky, space fence lockdown. Yeah, space. So it's so in this second book, is the last book. She go even further, and she say basically they already have full spectrum military dominance all over the planet, and now. They are well on the way of having some kind of space fence lockdown, so that so it's not just they have full space dominance on the on the entire planet, but military dominance, but they're also on very close to the point of extending the full space dominance to space, to our atmosphere and to stratosphere and to ionosphere and the rest of it. With satellite, weaponized satellite, they have very sophisticated technology. When they now even every single bit of space around the Earth is being controlled and monitored. They're not going to tell you that, but they have the technology to completely monitor all the different satellites, to keep track of them, to keep track of all the space debris of from past exploded satellites that are still in the atmosphere. So they have a complete map of the atmosphere, the stratosphere, the ionosphere. They know everything. If they're Chinese satellite, they know where they are. They're probably getting pretty ready if something happens to shoot them down. If there's a Russian satellite, they know exactly where they are. They're probably ready if something go wrong to shoot them down, and vice versa. So that's so anyways, it's Julian Assange, by talking about evil intelligent dust, seemed to buy a bit into this kind of theory. So I was trying to understand. That happened, by the way, just maybe a few months after I was there with the megaphone. I was shouting like, Julian, you may be a victim of electronic harassment too. For which then a lot of stuff happened in my life. I had to pay quite a heavy price for doing that. I don't think it made me more popular with certain people. Yeah, so basically, that happened just maybe 4 or 5 months after I was there with the megaphone on 3 different occasions, shouting, Julian, you may be a victim of electronic harassment too. At the time when Julian got his communication card and stuff, I thought, no way I'm going to go there now, because I think I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to do anything. I mean, I was out there. I was making clear we support you. We are on your side, and please let us expose this and that. But so there is no question that we are a friendly presence out there. We are not a hostile presence. But the moment he got all these communication cards, I thought, if there is no way I'm going to be out there with a megaphone and at the risk doing anything at all which may, risk or increasing his distress or causing him distress, causing him even annoyance, or because he's been living like a cage animal for 6 years. So when you're in this situation, everything. I mean, if you manage to keep really mentally strong, that is a good thing. But it's a very dangerous situation psychologically. You sometimes everything happening to your side, you end up perceiving as a threat or some more threatening. So the moment I get this communication, I think, I know why I'm going to go back there and risk doing anything which may cause him any kind of distress. But when we were there, it was a time when he was receiving friends and people all the time, so he was taking part in video conferences and all the time on and off the phone with people. So I was not particularly concerned about this side of things. But so after that, no way I'm going to go back to risking causing him any distress. But so anyway, just before he made this statement about the evil intelligent dust, which are probably better idea to call them nanoparticles. Just a few months before, I was there with a megaphone 3 times on 3 different occasions for a few hours, shouting, Julian, you may be a victim of electronic harassment too. So then he made this statement, and he made me think, because I think, what if, Julian is a very intelligent person, he's very capable, he's very knowledgeable, but, you may be capable, knowledgeable, but if you start, for the sake of argument, if you start getting targeted with electronic harassment all of a sudden, and you may be already in your 40s, this thing never happened to you before, what's happening in the beginning? You spend quite some time trying to figure out what's happening to you. So it made me think this statement he made about being surrounded by intelligent evil dust and interacting with all the electromagnetic soup, etc., etc. It made me think, what if, is starting getting targeted at some point during his stay in the embassy with electronic harassment, and like many people, as I said, Julian is very knowledgeable in geopolitics, and he knows his way around the technology and everything and stuff. But if you're already in your 40s, you never experienced electronic harassment before, and then you get on a very steep learning curve. You try to understand what's happening to you. And so what if is he really being targeted with electronic harassment? Like so many other targeted individuals in the early stage of uh, being targeted with electronic harassment, he's just starting to put together concept, the idea to just to come to terms and get around his head around to what is happening to him. So he say, how they doing this thing to me? They may be doing like using, intelligent evil dust or nanoparticles or something. So so it's tentatively. I did wonder. I was there a few months before. Say, Julian, you may be a victim of electronic harassment too, for hours, and then a few months later say, the evil intelligent dust. I think, what if he started to get targeted with electronic harassment quite late in life, say, even though he's an exceptional person, he's very knowledgeable in very many areas. But you may be acknowledged if you want, but if you're you've suddenly become a victim of electronic harassment, this thing has never happened to you before, then you go on a very steep learning curve. For a few months, you just try to experiment with different content. You look on the internet, and you try to make sense of what's happening to you. You come up with idea, with a suggestion to yourself, and think. And so, what if is being targeted with electronic harassment in the embassy? With electronic harassment in the embassy, if it's just coming up with constant like evil evil intelligent doubts, because he's trying to get his head around it, like what's happening to him. He cannot understand how it's done, or he cannot fully understand how it's done. So he's coming up with this kind of idea, evil intelligent dust. So and then moving from here, from this concept to, and then there is this, maybe that there is really a big conflict there. That Julian may have started to get interested in organized talking, electronic harassment, maybe. Mind you, we are all over the internet, so if you're an AV internet user, it's very difficult to come across some of information about what you are saying anyway, because in real life, you can, not for love or for money, you can get anyone to acknowledge what's happening to us. But if you go on the internet, we are all over the place. We are literally all over the place. You do. Someone said he did a search for organized talking. You get some intelligence on Google, 500,000 entries. So we are literally all over the place. So what if Julian has become aware of organized talking, electronic harassment? He's trying to get his head around it. At the same time, he's on the constant AV attack. Is another interesting thing? He made this video. Yeah, he made this video, last video, this interview with Rapti. And just at the very end, he talked about evil intelligent dust, and then very shortly afterward, all his communications were being cut. So it may easily be a coincidence. Yeah. Yeah. What if Julian Assange was getting ready to blow the whistle on organized talking and electronic harassment? So let's try to have take into account all the different because why did he talk about why he felt compelled to talk about evil intelligent dust? Not something people say, oh hello, how you are to do? How you are today? How is the evil intelligent dust? It's not something why he felt compelled to come up with this notion of evil intelligent dust. So it may be that he mentioned this thing, evil intelligent dust, very shortly after all his communication, all his communication were cut off. So they were even trying to make it difficult for him to receive visits by his legal team. At the same time, certain people he made this video. A few people close to Julian started to express concern about his mental health. All communication was cut, Now they say, oh, we're resuming some communication, but they seem to say dragging their feet. That they actually is all talk and no action. So what if Julian says, he's been experienced organized talk, and we know that because there was the running up at the altar drills outside his window, throwing little stone against his window. So we know he's a victim of organized stalking. And then he talk about evil intelligent dust. And I had to wonder: is Julian getting radio? Is maybe willing to blow the whistle on organized stalking and electronic harassment? Is that the reason why just shortly after he made this mention of evil intelligent dust, all his communication was cut off, and people started to make aspersion about his mental health? So that's all. I mean, I think I provided you with a bit of information and food for thought about Julian Assange. I think I gave you all the information I have myself about the latest news and the latest plans and the Saturday Arrows video, which is being promoted by his mother and by his Susie Dawson from New Zealand. So that's all about Julian Assange. Yeah, I think I didn't mention the fact that I was there today. So far, I just talk in generalities. I was there today for several hours. There was a medium-sized group of people outside. This is all part of this thing that they've been poisoning the mind of people about Julian. I mean, the fact that that there was a number of people there at this vigil. It was, let's say, a medium-sized crowd, but this is also down to the fact that all the media, I've been poisoning the mind of people. The mainstream media have been poisoning the mind of people. Constant droplet of poison, like I was like. So now, even till this latest protocol published by the Ecuadorian government, they're making aspersion against Julian. So he's just looking after the cat. He's lazy. He wants other people to do his stuff. He's just looking. He doesn't look after the bathroom. Is skateboarding into flat. I mean, it's damaging the floor. It's a part of slowly poisons the mind of people against Julian. It tend all this Russiagate nonsense and things like I don't think Julian was in favor of I don't think Julian was in favor of any particular candidate on the 2016 presidential election. He's actually talking with friends. He said that he said like having to choose between Trump and Clinton. It was like having to choose between cholera and gonorrhea. So I don't think it was all this Russiagate thing. All this Russiagate thing, I think is. They've been poisoning for 10 years, up to 10 years, the mind of people, dropping innuendos and it is. After the Ecuadorian embassy, Ecuadorian government published this protocol about talking about looking after the cats, looking after the bathroom, paying his way, buying his own food, and so they were implying that he's a freeloader, that is expect other people to do his cleaning, that is expect other people to pay for him. So it's very nasty stuff. And then they published this protocol, and then the next thing all these various rags, like the Guardian and things, they start digging up people. They've been living for a while with Julian in the past. There's always a terrible guest, and he does this, he does that, and you can get rid of him. All this. So it's slowly poisoning the mind of people. I think it's well practiced kind of. It's a practiced kind of drill and the innuendo thing. But slowly poison, drip, 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 poison. So that's the reason why in 2012 when I was there outside the embassy, there was a pack with a big crowd. Every time he was appearing at the window and stuff. And now I was there today for a few hours. There was a medium-sized crowd, so it was not a big crowd. There was quite a number of people there, but it was not a big crowd. So we were there. He didn't show up at the window like he never does at the moment. I think it's probably been forbidden by the is one of the main restrictions. It makes sense that it's one of the main restrictions the Ecuadorian government has been putting on him, not to appear at the window, so he didn't make any appearance. There was nice music. There was, some Latin American music, some Andean music. It was quite nice, and megaphone messages and slogans, and a lot of nice people. I mean, because when you are a target individual, you become a bit cynical. You become a bit like, but it's cutting through to my cynicism. I mean, to notice that the people, usually I've been to this outside embassy many times before. I know a bit of a lot of the people there, and these people are really genuine people. They're like, they're really kind, sweet, and genuine people. Most of the people there. It's so I've been targeted most of my life. You come to a point where at least like you think like there's no nice people, there's no nice people. But then you get through your kind of carapace or your kind of armor, and you start to realize, these people are really nice people, actually, kind and gentle and really concerned about Julian. Uh, so yeah, there's a lot of really nice people there, well-meaning people concerned about Julian well-being, and that's what happened this afternoon. But you get a lady bringing up cakes and food. Sometimes a lady from Latin America but bring up all this food and cookies and cakes and things that they try to constantly go out trying to offer it to people. So they're genuine nice people, the people there. Yeah. So I think it's getting a bit late. I think it's just been 1 hour 20 minutes. So so I think in a way the line between what they do to target individual. To make a long story short, I think the line between what they do to target individual and the line between what they do to whistleblower to some to some political activists is becoming clearly blurred. And as for what is happening with Julian Assange, for all we know, he may be getting ready to blow the whistle on targeting, because he made this statement quite strange in a way, you may say, a bit strange and bizarre, about evil intelligent house surrounding us from every side, being activated by the mobile phone network, interacting with the electronic soup, and etc., etc. And then after, very shortly after that, you get all these line of communication cuts. So, and then people start to say like, "Oh, Julian, we are worried about his mental health," and blah blah blah. So, for all we know, the line is getting increasingly blurred in the kind of in terms of the kind of harassment being inflicted on us, target individuals, and on whistleblower. Your story, like for instance, I mean, you hear a lot of story like John Kariako when he was in prison. They said that he found out that one of the other inmates, he was told that he was meant to kill him. He was told that John Kiriakou intended to kill him. So so it put him in serious danger. So you heard all this story about the unbelievable things they do to hurt, target individual, to hurt whistleblower, to hurt some political activists. So the line is getting increasingly blurred between target individual and what they're doing to whistleblower political activists. And who's to say that Julian Assange, he did talk about evil intelligent dust? Who's to say that he was not getting ready to blow the whistle on targeting, on electronic harassment? And then all of a sudden, very, very shortly after, they cut off all this communication. Why? I mean, it may be a coincidence. And then you have all this story about all these U.S. diplomats in China and Cuba being. It seemed quite obvious, it's been acknowledged, particularly in the early stage of this thing breaking out. It's been acknowledged that they were the involvement of direct energy microwave weapons. I was reading this article just the other day that by 2022, the production and manufacturing and research into direct energy weapon, microwave weapon, is going to amount to it's going to be worth some $24 billion. So I mean, it's not a super huge sum, but it's a bit of money. So yeah, it was estimated by 2022. The whole business of research, development, and manufacturing of direct energy microwave weapon uh, will amount to be worth like in the region of $24 billion. So, but then, as I say, we having all these U.S. diplomats and in the beginning, they were kind of readily acknowledging that these people were being the lesions and the internal damage and the brain damage they've been finding. It was quite consistent with the use. They admitted quite readily that in the beginning, but then it was consistent with the use of direct energy microwave wave. But then that's the thing. Apparently, at least a number of these people, I think probably referring to the one in China, they were complaining about all kind of other strange thing happening to them. Listen to this. They were complaining about break-ins. They were complaining about they were coming on and find their dogs, which looked like they've been poisoned. They were vomiting. So it is actually they starting to say these people that not only they apparently were targeted with direct energy microwave weapon, but they were getting all kind of gaslighting and harassment in China. But then the really interesting part is that when they come back to when they return to the United States, some of the harassment continued. Quite a number of times they complained that they came back to the United States. They still not the same thing happening in China. Like people come home, that there is quite evidence that someone has been breaking in. They move things around, they trash a bit thing around. Messing around with the pets and with the dogs and the vomiting, and then maybe feeling ill in a kind of way and being followed in the street. That's what they say, these people. It was reported by an article on CNN. I don't know if I can find the name of the article. I think they are not allowed to appear, and I think I may be able to see if I can find the name of the article on CNN. That's what his article on CNN was reporting that his electronic harassment was accompanied by real life harassment. So, but think of that. I can get the article. Anyway, I'm pretty positive it was an article on CNN of all places. And so at this point you have to ask. So basically, if people like you and me, let's say, we are experimenting particularly when we are at home, experimenting with targeting us with direct energy microwave weapon, and the immediate reaction you must be crazy. But then what is the difference between these people when these people in U.S. diplomats in China and Cuba start complaining about being targeted by the same devices, they had to acknowledge in the beginning, they are conducting some medical tests, that they had to acknowledge that the effect, that the damage was consistent with the use of direct energy microwave weapons. So why when we say that we are being experimented with direct energy microwave weapon, we are crazy, immediately label us crazy? But then they have to admit that all these numbers, these diplomats will probably have a few dozen. There's not just one or two. It's quite a number of them. And then you have the fact that this is the Russian the Russian embassy at the time of the old Soviet Union, the American embassy in Moscow there was evidence that it was being targeted with microwave and things. So it's what I call cognitive schizophrenia. When it suits them, they're quite ready to acknowledge that certain things are taking place. When it doesn't suit them, or it's not consistent with the with their narrative of holding on to their job or holding on to their family, then they completely start singing a completely different tune. So like what they call in like cognitive schizophrenia, like what's happening with we have the video with the first responder around building number 7 on 9/11. You have the video of them scrambling around and say, oh, they bring it down, they bring it down. Acknowledging the fact that it was a controlled demolition, they are running off and try to run away from the building. But then if you confront them today, you say, well, what did you say there? Like you acknowledge that it was a controlled demolition. They will say, probably say, oh no, I never done such a thing. I never said that. So I mean, you have this complete cognitive schizophrenia, whereby one moment it suits them to believe one thing, even possibly honestly, at the next moment they kind of, they believe something completely different. So it's what I call cognitive schizophrenia. So it's quite acceptable, the idea that is happening to these people, these diplomats. But if it's it's like then you can say like, okay, let's say it's been done by the Cubans, by the Chinese, right? So if the Cubans and the Chinese have this kind of technology, how did they develop them? Because to develop any kind of technology, military technology, quasi-military technology, you need to test it on the ground, test it on people. So, like you say, so if the Chinese, the Cuban have this kind of technology, whom did they test it on? Who were the guinea pigs? So if okay, so it seems reasonable to think that the Chinese. At the Cuban, if they have this technology, they've been testing on their own people, on any number of different people, maybe people in prison and stuff, right? So at the next step is to say, if the Chinese and the Cuban they have this technology, they've been testing it, to have it, they need to test it, right? It follows that our government in the West, they just standing at the window looking on and say, oh, they have this technology, what are we going to do? Are we going to develop some similar technology for our own or something? So then to develop that, you need to test it, right? Because you can develop any military technology without testing it. So basically, it would follow that. But then, if we, the guinea pigs, they say, oh, they're testing it on us actually. Oh, you are crazy. You must be crazy. It's totally crazy. It doesn't make any sense. You lost it completely, right? So yeah, that's the situation. So, but the interesting bit is that this coming out. That was of all places an article on CNN. They say like, oh, actually, a lot of these people are complaining not just of the microwave devices being targeted by microwave devices. They're all complaining that in China they were experiencing break-ins being followed, their pets being tampered with, that they're like coming home and finding their dogs sick and vomiting on the floor or something, and things being moved around, things missing and things. And then listen to this. And then all these people, specific people that are involved in these complaints, they come back to the United States. And then they start saying, oh, the thing which we experienced in China, like breaking and being followed, is happening to us in the United States now. So think of that. So, but then if we say like, oh, okay, yeah, we too, we are victim of Me Too, like there's the Me Too movement, so like we are also, we can create another Me Too movement. We also experience breaking and following, and we have been targeted at home with microwave weapon. Oh, you must be crazy. So, you must be crazy. Then I mean, two things can come to mind. The first thing is this thing was done by the Chinese and Cuban government, but because the Western government have been experimenting uh, on their own citizens, and they want to keep the lead on this kind of little bit of information. They basically, with these people back in the US, they gaslighting them. So because they've been experiencing following break-ins, tampering with pets, and tampering with the furniture. But they also experiencing like obstruction, like people in the beginning, people were giving credence to their story. Your religions and things are consistent with the use of direct energy microwave weapons. Yeah, we can see that by the X-ray and everything, scan and now all these people try to backtrack and say, for one thing, they're refusing medical assistance. So I will say, oh, are you entitled to medical assistance? Oh, you need to fill out this form, and we are not sure that you may have to pay for this, you may have to pay for that. And then there's also backtracking in after the first acknowledgement. Oh yes, microwave weapon. Yeah, we can see that. And now they say, oh yeah, well, I mean, we're not so sure anymore. I mean, we're looking at the situation, but may have been something else. I think maybe So what's that? So basically, you can think of things. It's been done by the Chinese and the Cubans, but because the Western governments have been using thousands of Western citizens, innocent Western citizens, not even prisoners, but innocent citizens in the community, as guinea pigs. They desperate to keep the leads on this thing, because then people like if it may start, if they acknowledge something, people may start asking more questions, like, so, okay, it's been done by the Chinese and the Cubans, so they developed this technology. To develop them, then they may have need for years and years to test them on people. So would they test them on? And then okay, so what we're supposed to be doing? Like they have all this quite scary technology, and we like the Western government, they're at the window watching and doing nothing about it. So do we have this technology? I mean, do they try to say, like, they have them, so we want to have them too. If we want to have them too, we have been testing them on people. If we test them, who are the people we've been testing them on? So if they start to acknowledge that this thing is going on, so that's why may be that these people now, after an initial acknowledgement of what was happening to them, then they start to get the gaslighting, the obstruction, and the backtracking, and that's the. Or then there is the other explanation that seeing that our government are so proficient in using and testing and this technology may have been an inside job all along. So because I don't think if the American government wants to target some of his own diplomats in Cuba, I don't think that technically that is considering all we target individuals know about these devices, this weapon is totally feasible or conceivable that actually. These people in Cuba, in China, may have been actually targeted by the deep state and some agency of the U.S. government. But I think the more likely explanation seems to be like, they want to keep the lead on their story, because if you start admitting it, in the beginning, like, they were acknowledging, these look like they are like direct microwave weapon, and they say, oh, we are coming across something we don't know anything about. You're puzzled. Yeah, it looks like some strange direct energy microwave weapon. We don't know. They will all the time say we don't know what that may possibly be, or But then people start asking questions. So people start asking a lot of questions. Target individuals started asking a lot of questions. So now, after the initial response, they now start backtracking. They start refusing medical assistance. They say, oh, if you want this treatment, you have to pay for it. And they start in something which may be considered to be gaslighting. But it's quite interesting that most of the people say there is a twist in the tail, in that quite a lot of these people are saying that actually the gaslighting started in at least the people which are in deployed in China. They say actually the gaslighting started in China. So maybe by the U.S. government, maybe they we don't want this story to break out or to break or something. And so it's better start with some early gaslighting, so these people, we can start very early to discredit them. And so we're going to kill the story. So that's it's about China and Cuba. So that's a bit more information. We are getting close to 1 hour 40 minutes. So it's to say a few more things about a couple more things. And one is this book about John Phelan, and called Exile, which I read, it was actually an emotional experience because I've been targeted most of my life. So the story is basically how Janet, the unbelievable abuse she's been getting, is quite heartbreaking because she gets more. I mean, it's unbelievable. She got more of family money stolen. Her inheritance was stolen. I mean, every time she was trying to. Every time she was trying to ask questions, every time she was trying to, stand up for her rights and things. I mean, the way I mean, it's unbelievable the way she was treated by the different authorities. All the different tricks and dirty tactics she was trying to sue, and they were trying to provide her the wrong information about the hearings and things to make sure she was not going to be there. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They murdered her mother because. And that's, I think she's a target individual. I don't know if she like to call herself a target individual, Janet Phelan. But I think, from my point of view, she's a target individual, and it shows. It's amazing because it is another innocent person. I mean, she was saying a bit similar to what I was saying before, like about my life. So she was saying, she was at the point. Apparently, she was lured into a relationship with an agent, right? And then it became apparent later that he was really an agent. It was not just a paranoid fantasy or anything. Because when later on uh, you know, she hired an investigator to look into the background of this person. All kind of strange thing emerged, and every time the investigator would try to find information with federal agencies, etc., they would say, "Oh, we are not able to release this information all the time," and so it's a bit like what happened in this country, that the spy cops, that they were stealing the identity of dead children and stuff. And so if you do any search on them, you get all kind of conflicting information which doesn't make any sense. So she hired an investigator to look into the background. Once she became convinced that this person was a fraud, a fake, she asked this investigator to look into the background of this individual, and so this guy was trying to make normal inquiries about the tax status, and with all the different the federal agencies. Every time was banging his head against the wall because they said, we're saying openly that we're not allowed to release this information. So he was an agent. She was luring to this kind of relationship with his agent, and she said at the time, she was like a freelance journalist at the time this thing happened. And she was saying, like, she also had a health problem. She was not sure. She was not able to work full time. And she was like, I was a freelance journalist. I was writing mainly article about cultural issues. I was not political. I was not engaged into politics, and basically they felt right to lure me into this relation with some sort of federal agent. And it is a bit the same story we have in this country with there's this book Undercover charting all this activity of this Special Division Squad, I think it was called, with basically infiltrating up to 1,000 political groups in this country over time. And so basically they were like the luring women, which like into relationship, which were like just not even particularly active politically, just had some concern about the environment or concern about the well-being of animals, and they were luring them into this kind of relationship. So she's Janet Phelan. So she basically show how cruel, sadistic, insane, random all this kind of the thing they do basically to people. Yeah, all crazy, random, and sadistic, cruel, like So she earlier on, it is something I can say the same thing. Like I mean, for I've been living in this country for some more than 30 years, for maybe the first 20 years, I gave up all kind of activism. I wasn't bothering anyone. I was just trying to survive. And now that they make it look like, oh, we are bothered by your activism, but there's been some 20 years I was working, paying taxes, trying to survive, and I was not doing any activism. So I mean, I was getting the same kind of nonsense I'm getting now. Constant harassment every 2 or 3 days. They try to find some way of completely destroying your life, or you know. This John's story. Even at an early stage, even before all the other stuff started, they already started trying to get her entangled in a relationship with some kind of agent. Why they did that? She say at the time I was working freelance as a journalist. I was not particularly political. I was mainly writing about cultural events. Why they wanted to do that? But the thing about John Phelan is that his family had quite a bit of money. He apparently that's another aspect of targeting that many other targets may find familiar. They target also people to steal their property. It's not the case with me, because most of my life has been like a bit hand to mouth or something. So there's nothing very much to be stolen in my. But I heard a story about like other TI that say like I had a bit of money, there's a bit of inheritance. They maneuvered the situation. They getting guardianship, and they send people to psychiatric hospital just to steal the money. So that's another, because targeting is like the activity of the deep state is not just one thing. They do many different things, all criminal, horrific, evil. So it seems that one of the problem with Janet, they were they were thinking of stealing their family money, which in the end they managed to do very well. And so it's quite heartbreaking, because then she end up, she gets lured into first in getting into the relationship with his agent. Then she immediately, her landlord, after a while she went into this relationship, all of a sudden, without any provocation, he was trying to just evict her. So she has to she has to move in with his agent, and then after a while the agent started becoming abusive. So she ended up spending 3.5 years on the streets, living on the streets. So even when she was living on the street, um, she was constantly harassed and abused, and so it's really heartbreaking, because as the book is, if you want to have a look, is very. If you're a target individual, it is the learning about what happened to someone else. You can learn about. It's always a learning curve. You may even learn how to by what happened to someone else. How can you try to protect yourself? Is knowing certain things. So becoming familiar with other scenarios, and that it gives you idea of what may happen to you, or how you should protect yourself. So the book is Janet Phelan, which is uh, is the author. I believe that, at the best of my knowledge, at the time at the moment she's living in Colombia, because basically she, you know, like many target individuals, she felt so desperate in the United States about um, all the stuff happening to her, that she at some point as far as I know, she's still living in Colombia at the moment, which it's quite a dangerous country. Sorry, I don't know why she chose Colombia, but yeah, it's not probably the safest country, but she was probably so desperate of getting out of the US, and uh, she traveled through Central America stuff. Interesting enough, when I was younger, I did something somewhat similar happened to myself. I was just, I was traveling. I was in the United States, and then I traveled through Central America, always hoping to, to be able to find some peace. And then in the end, I got to Panama. I was traveling by land, so it took quite months and months, and then I got to Panama. I just enough money to come back to Europe, and so I thought that, you go to different countries, you get the same kind of treatment, maybe slightly different, but equally oppressive, and it's a book I highly recommend. Um, Janet Phelan is the author, and the name of the book is Exile, because she felt compelled at some point to just to flee the United States, basically in desperation. Exile. I think you can buy. I mean, it is the hard copy. I don't know how much it costs, possibly $15, but you can download a PDF version of the book for just $5, which I did, and so it may also help Janet, because I think they managed in the end to completely deplete her. There was her family created I can't remember how, created a trust whereby she was getting uh, some kind of income, and then she was getting some kind of disability, but then she was probably terrorized into giving up her disability check. They managed to finally completely plunder the trust left by her parents. So I think at the moment she's actually kind of struggling. So to making ends meet, and etc. So if you want to buy the book for the cheap version or PDF for £5, you probably you also probably help give a bit of help to Janet, which is it's a fantastic book. It's like it's like really like a crime story or a thriller or something. I mean, I picked. I pick it up, I start reading it, and I couldn't stop. I mean, I had to get several hours. I kept reading until I finished the book. It's probably more like it's like a crime thriller, but it's probably a lot more interesting because it's based on totally based on real events. So I think that's what I wanted to talk about today in front of the embassy. The visual, very nice people, very good people. Unassuming people, very kind. All the time bringing cakes and things. They try to give it to everybody, and people coming to play music. And so then the latest. If you go back to the beginning of the broadcast, there is all the information. Probably the latest, the more up to date information about what's happening with Julian Assange, the ins and outs, and the Moreno government, and the crisis in the Moreno government is completely causing up to the United States. Lenin Moreno is even either member of his party, member of his government that disagree with him. He's trying to get them set up with corruption and things like he did with Korea. So I think if you go back to the first part of the broadcast, there is a huge amount of latest information. On Julian Assange, you probably won't find anywhere else, unless at least not in one single place and stuff. So I talk about these people in Cuba, in China, and how they've been gaslighted, not just when they got back to the United States, but even when they were in China, they started noticing breaking and being followed and all kinds of stuff. So that's like they say, the mystery deepens and the plot thickens, or whatever. But and then about this fantastic book, which I couldn't, once I start reading, I couldn't stop until I get to the end, which I very much advise people to read and to find it, or maybe to download it, and it's going to adjust it, because I don't think it's doing terribly well at the moment financially, because they managed to completely plunder trust. She was basically terrorized on giving up her disability, and then they managed to completely plunder the trust left by her parents. It was a very rich family, but they managed to completely plunder everything, from the jewelry to the mother. The mother was, was getting what in the UK we call a section. So the mother was a perfectly normal person, but I think she got section because so they could steal all plunder, all the money, all the family money that she went through. Horrible neglect, which probably accelerated brought forward her death, brought her to an untimely death, and then to add insult to injury, in for many years, Janet, which was very close to her mother, Emily, she got a restraining order because they were afraid that she was like blow the whistle on the whole situation. So, and these two women were really close, were really loving each other. So she got a restraining order, so they were making sure that she, basically, whilst the mother was getting slowly murdered, the daughter Johnny was being kept away by all kind of restraining order, which were made without any reason. So, the mother was being sectioned without any reason. The daughter was being kept away without any reason, because these two women were very, very close together. So, I mean, it show also to give you some insight about the corruption in the judicial system. If you really expect to get any justice, either in this country or in the US or in other European country, if you really think that you can, with regard to any, I mean, get any justice through the it is through the judicial system. It is people are so corrupt. I mean, it's just total corruption, and when they are not even pedophile, which probably quite a lot of these judges are anyway, but total, utter, complete corruption. So I think now we are getting close to the 2 hour mark. I think I exhausted all the subjects and talk about this book. There is the Melanie show. Melanie show, it apparently as the 1st of November she was still in prison. Basically, it is a very strange situation, because they've been slapping around the notices all over the place. So basically, she was dragging in front of some kangaroo court, and her friend, the relative, couldn't find out what she was being accused of. They just not saying how long she was being sentenced for, how the length of the sentence. That there was not, the information was just not available. So it's just, they were slapping the notice right, left, and center, and no one was allowed to find out anything. So she was basically being kidnapped, and because she was trying to blow the whistle on all these all these VIP pedophiles in Westminster and all over the country, basically. And also, she was also trying to blow the whistle on the fact that there had been so much cover up and so much duplicity in when they were really desperate, the people clamoring for some justice, for some investigation. They were making up that they were investigating and launching some kind of investigation, and then from top to bottom they just all the time desperately tried to cover up everything. So she was also trying to blow the whistle on this kind of thing. And she was being basically kidnapped, and she was treated horribly in prison. She was the condition in which she was kept, because this woman was a strong woman, but also she was being through sexual abuse when she was a child, and so she was also, there was an element of fragility, and that she was horribly abused in prison. What little we know about the way she was treated in prison was quite horrible. And then it seems that she intend. I mean, I suppose people can take only so much, and she like, at the intern, she just lost the plot a bit. She started setting fire to her cell, probably out in the cry for help, and in complete desperation, I think she set fire to her cell 3 times, and they get her exactly where they want her to be, because now they're conducting some psychiatric assessment, and they're probably going to lock her up and throw away the key, basically. So that's the situation. That's the it's very complicated. There is the deep state that they holding everyone life into terrain, that they can do whatever they want to is might decide to do whatever they want. At least in the past, in the last few decades, there was some pretense that they were abiding by the rule of law, by international treaty covenants. Now they don't give a, excuse my French, and they just do whatever they want. So yeah, we saw it with Julian Assange. The United States, the United Nations say, oh, it is the treatment of Julian Assange by the British government is totally legal. They don't care. They just, there was this, whatever you think about immigration, or or whatever you think is immigration is a good thing, it's a bad thing. But there was this, there was a judgment by the High Court saying that blocking the deportation of certain individuals, and the government went on and deported them. I mean, I don't want to get into the debate about immigration or whatever, but I mean, it seems that we no longer follow the rule of law. I mean, you got this government, but not just this government. I believe the American government, a lot of government in Europe, basically they have the total contempt for international law, for all the treaties, the covenants they have been signing over the years, for British law, French law, German law, US law. So the total contempt for domestic law, they have total contempt for natural law, they have total contempt for common law. So might decide, you see with the, Windrush scandal, where they, people have been like living all their life in this country, maybe even a lot of them serving in the British Army, they were deported back to the Caribbean. So, it's quite a scary environment, because they can do, the bottom line is that they can do whatever they want to anyone. They can do whatever they want to anyone. So you just have to cross your fingers and hope for the best, because we know they've been killing a lot of people in this country. Not a lot of people, but I wouldn't say a lot of people, but there's a serious question about the death of Diana, death of former Labour leader John Smith, former Labour Foreign Secretary Robin Cook, Dr. David Kelly, Michael Meacham. So I don't want to go into all that. So, but they do what they want to anyone, and you can only cross your finger, hope for the best. And on this cheerful note, I think I'm going to stop the broadcast. I hope people may have found some useful information, either about Julian Assange or Melanie show or something else, and or Cuba and China and the diplomats and the rest of it. So on this cheerful note, they can do whatever they want to anyone. I'm going to stop.